need the cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will still Chamberlain. Even Damien and Satan is afraid of him.
Oh, word? And they was talking all that hot-ish. Where the prophets ain't apostles, here the gospel is the gossip. I'm a science project, try and pocket this rhyming process. Watch us in formation, going through lines. Fiber optics, this is Miley Cyrus in her freak phase. The naked truth, don't be Ray Caruth in a trunk punk, just take the truth. Shit, Daisy Dukes at a night show. I raid your room, change the mood. That was like though, yeah. Break a fuse if they refuse. This snapping, shots without the flashes. If I was ever in a pit with you, that's harassment. Your storyboard magic that had it. To be real, our ears over the field like 100-yard passes. Score the basket, order more caskets. Only way they getting bypasses is gastric. I'm tapped in, it's too late. Fix your face, this is sleeping on a killer in a cabin by Crystal Lake.
Lord,
we got rent to raise.
They gon' need to raise the rim. They gon' need a cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will still Chamberlain. Put the globe on my middle finger and made it spin. They gon' need to raise the rim.
Peace, family. Welcome to another episode of Underground Railroad Productions. This is your host, Brother Rich, a.k.a. Black Magic. A couple of days from the signing of the TV Awards, man. I want to meet up with the red and the blue out here, man. Welcome back, my brothers.
Peace, Lord. We are presenting, performing, and we nominated. So this is exciting. Family, 7718 Symphony Space Hall.
Yeah.
Broadway. Pull up. Alright, the award show is back. We in New York City, the Apple, where it all started. So this is monumental. You know what I mean? I'm very excited for this.
Indeed, indeed. Blue, man, I like your crown, Blue.
Oh,
like the crown, man. I know the people gonna comment on that,
Shout
man.
out to my brother Olu out of Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? You can find him on my IG. All right.
Indeed.
Brother Olu.
So listen, man. Real quick, today, I want to touch on, man. It seems like, oh man, the predictive programming with this new Purge movie, it's kind of crazy. It's called, I don't want to mess it up, because we're all about to see it. We didn't see it yet, but we see what's happening with the, you know, these movies, and we all went through the science of how the movies program reality. So, what's it called? The Purge?
First Purge.
The first Purge.
First Purge, I believe, yes.
Yeah.
So this is the Purge that happened before all the other purges.
The prequel.
The prequel.
This was set it off, yeah.
Please, so this Purge is about white nationalists battling, I guess, what they call the term black and brown people, or Latinos and blacks, or
The blacks.
so yeah. So
blacks.
why would Hollywood at a time like this, with Trump in office, everything going on, why do you think Hollywood will put something out like this? What purpose, what agenda, besides the obvious?
And before you even, let me preface the fact that, you know, I always mention, you know, when Democrats have to go to Hollywood for big fundraisers, they would go to Weinstein, they used to go to Harvey's house, you gotta go to the Hills. California itself is categorically Democrat, so Hollywood is looked at as a Democrat bastion.
Facts.
Okay, so how and why does the main Republican propaganda machines, in particular in this one, when all of the entertainment or all of Hollywood in particular is supposed to be on code on a bump Trump campaign? You feel me?
Well, it's because it's like I said before in the series Fear of a Black More Messiah, what they call the liberal left is really the useless idiots. That's the term that's applied to them. They're basically, you know, in theater. They actually work for each other. Now, when you go further into Hollywood, you'll run across the information about the Pentagon having an office in Hollywood, and many of
in Hollywood, the Pentagon in Hollywood. You talked about that before.
There's a man by the name of Philip. I'm forgetting his last name, but he's that go-to guy for the Pentagon/CIA. Anytime that you see any kind of paraphernalia, any kind of military paraphernalia, think Transformers, think G.I. Joe.
Facts.
Think how heavy. It was almost like one of those, think the Army commercials that you saw that began very cinematic. It looked like, it looked like Michael Mann filmed it. So
right. They had a and yeah, let's be clear. What he's talking about is post 9/11. They ramped up a propaganda campaign or Hollywood machine where they merged all of the Pentagon's objectives as well as new weaponry in Hollywood. And this is something that I read in the New York Times. This is not a secret. They said, look, we're going to merge, right, our campaigns together.
Facts.
You feel me? Because we are at war with terror. So that happened and it's never stopped.
So the same way that they were infiltrated the NFL and organized sports with this whole patriotic, they had a lot of those missing trillions of dollars from the Pentagon, that black
How did they
money.
infiltrate the NFL, for those who don't know?
Well, they basically cut a check. They came with a bag. I believe it was 12 million or 20 million in order to have the Star Spangled Banner and all of these other patriotic songs sang during the openers of these games. They were the ones who basically ramped it up and made it all about everyone standing in patriotism and whatnot. So going back to Hollywood, there's a door in Hollywood, a Pentagon door. The majority of the scripts come across this table. They have so much power in Hollywood, they can alter scripts, they could change storylines, and they could cease budgeting on films. Even if the Pentagon wasn't directly involved in the budgets, they have the power to pick up the phone and dead the budgeting on complete films. So when you see a movie like The Purge coming out in such a volatile environment that we live in right now, remember, politically, a politically volatile environment where there's talk of civil war between the alt-right or the white nationalists and the alt-left, what they identified as Antifa, the LBGTs, the Black Lives Matter. All of these people march together, they're in bed together, they're waving the same flag, okay? And even you woke people. So that's taking place right now. So for Hollywood to come out with what I'm identifying as propaganda is almost akin to Germany releasing a propaganda film about the Nazis killing off the Jews prior to what they did in Germany when things were getting hot.
Wow.
Right? Because before
Great analogy.
Before Hitler became chancellor and whatnot, he was climbing the ladder. He only had one person in front of him, right? I believe it was not Lindenberg. What was his name? I forgot his name, but he was the top dog. But even during that time, they started with the stars and whatnot. They started with the ID cards for the Jews and whatnot. They started with the immigration stuff, right? Talking about where we want to remove certain people from Germany. If you're not from Germany, we want you out of here. Too many people are coming in from Rhineland. All of these conversations were going on. After they lost the war, people were coming into Germany, so they were dealing with a form of nationalism. So the propaganda from the Nazi Party was very, very severe at that point. When Hitler basically took over the whole country and his party rose to complete power, that's when things really started to kick off. But there was a 5 to 6 year process. So what people are saying, oh, it's not that bad in America with these people and whatnot, I would tell them to study history. There's a process that takes place before it kicks off. Before things really gets into the...
And very rarely does it get mentioned because alt-right came along, so they don't talk about Tea Party.
Yes.
They don't talk about the seeding that took place initially at the onset of Barack Obama's presidency. So you're talking well over 10 years.
Straight 10 years.
A decade of preparation, because he came in at 08, and that's when the Tea Party popped off. There would be no Donald Trump if the Tea Party didn't initially eviscerate all of the, the bacteria or the bacteria that might have fought off this infection, this oncoming virus. So it overtook the body of the Republican Party, right?
It's a cancer.
It's a cancer.
Like KT was describing how cancers form.
It's 25
like Blue
stages.
was saying, since 2008, there's been a concerted effort,
a protracted
push by that side, the side of the remember the neocons? People forgot about the neocons. Remember the neocons? The neocons the
Right.
teabag, the tea partiers, the
'Cause,
birthers.
right, the neocons were prior, we're talking George, we're
This is
talking
George
W.
George W.
We're talking Cheney. All right, so we're talking the onset of the new millennium, 2000, 2001, when Project America went into play, when they outlined the different governments that have to topple, when they gave you the agenda, when the $1 trillion started missing from the black sites, from Pentagon and what have you.
Brzezinski and them.
Right? When they started sacking the Stargates in these different places, from
Facts.
Iraq to Syria, and all of that.
Facts. And began to destroy all of their sacred sites and whatnot, began to pillage all of their sacred sites, and then gave rise to what you now know today as ISIS, but it's
Right.
really the Daesh.
Right. They created the immigration crisis. That, they would have the nerve to complain over here about an immigration crisis. Do you know what they created in Europe? Do you know what the immigrant crisis from Syria and from all of the continental African countries made Europe look like? What they're going through over there?
They created purgers, right?
Facts.
In Libya, when Muammar Gaddafi was disposed,
Purged them.
they purged them, and they purged the West Africans and the South Africans
They purged
and the
Saddam.
Saharan Africans.
Saddam.
They purged Saddam. They created a purge squad out of these Benghazi quote-unquote rebels and whatnot. Then, when they created ISIL, they created purgers. These people were going around purging in the name of the quote-unquote, in the name of the prophet, right? But they were supported and they were backed, and they were basically, they were weaponized by the CIA over across the pond, the Israeli Mossad, and all of those other, the French, the Germans, and other people who are working in tandem to complete or to continue the campaign that they've been continuing since damn near the 1400s, this crusades, this quote-unquote Inquisition, you know what I'm talking about? This holy war, right? Following the dictates or the dictates that the book has laid out. You understand what I'm saying? So fast forward to the neocons. If you strip away the title of the neocons, you have what are known as the evangelical Christian right. And they have somebody in office right now by the name of Mike Pence. That's their go-to guy. That's their big homie. That's the one that's going to run the ball for them. Then you have somebody like Donald Trump, who on one hand, he's loyal to the Zionists by way of marriage. He married in to a Zionistic dynasty, a bloodline, through his daughter marrying Jared Kushner. And then on the other hand, he's in bed with the quote-unquote white trash, the white, the lower level, the lower ranks.
Right.
No, not just the evangelicals, because that's Pence's job. He's dealing with the trailer trash. He's dealing with the gun
blood,
owners.
right.
He's dealing with the hunters. He's dealing with the red-blooded, red America. The red is synonymous with the blood on their hands. Let's keep that in mind. These are the lynchers. These are the offspring of the slavers. These are the offspring of the people who were lynching people. These are the offspring of the people who rode west and killed in the name of manifest destiny. That's who we're talking about. These are their offspring. These are the ones who still go around eating people, tying people up, kidnapping people, going in the forest, shooting everything moving because they still got that spirit inside of them. You understand what I'm saying?
Fact.
There are 200,000 missing people of melanin, and they're somewhere in somebody's basement or their dungeon as a result of this desire that these people have to destroy us, to destroy melanin. They take it from the most subtle ways, the fetishing of your melanin. Sisters, you know what I'm talking about. Hotep. Those late nights, you know what I'm talking about, in the pub and whatnot, and the European runs up on you and he fetishes over you. He tells you certain things in your ear that I can't repeat on camera. That's that whole fetish. But they take it as far as to having your ass in a basement, gagged like Vince, like my dude in Ving Rhames. You know what I'm talking about? Gags in somebody's basement, doing all kind of crazy things to you. You feel me? So right now in America, currently, so nobody says, oh, y'all are adding on to the predictive programming. Why are we focusing on this, brother? There's people buying, you know what I mean? There's other things to focus on.
It's a distraction.
You know what I'm saying? It's a distraction. You know, it's the summertime. Our melanin is on. Listen, right now, according to the scorecard, they're identifying Europeans inside of the borders of America, not no mystery enemy and whatnot, not somebody that you can't see. They're saying that the biggest threat to security of American citizens are what is known as the white nationalists. Every single mass, not every single, but 98.9% of the mass shootings and the mass murders and the quote unquote, you know what I mean?
Cop killings.
Sociopathic, purge-like killings are at the hands of European men. They call them lone wolf or lone wolf gunmen. Go and do the research on what a lone wolf gunman is. It ties into a shooter from a cell who goes out on their own and kills, and then he becomes a lone wolf, because if you identify the group, then you can now target the group. Because I guarantee you, out of all of these killings that have been taking place, school shootings, all of this stuff, they belong to one group.
Yeah, they have affiliation.
They have affiliation, but the whole lone wolf thing is allowing all of these intelligence agencies who are part of this whole, they're part of this whole program. It allows them the loophole or the way out to not identify, because you never heard what they found on the computers that they confiscated. You never heard what websites were these people on.
They never followed up.
They never follow up.
Case in point, the Vegas shooter, they immediately called him a lone wolf. And that was the terminology that they used. But since we're not on code and we're not knowing what they're referencing to, or the salujis that they're passing,
we don't see it.
We just hear words and we have no understanding of you know what I'm saying, what these words mean.
These are called dog whistles, right? Dog whistles, meaning that they throw words out there. They throw terms out there. They throw concepts and ideas in movies, because like I said, ever since 2008, we're at war. What do you mean, Red Pill? I go to work every day and I got a Becky hitting me up on Tinder. It doesn't look like a war to me. Listen, wars begin in the realm of ideas and concepts first.
Yo, real quick.
There's something called culture wars. There's something called the war of ideas. Huh?
Trading wars.
There's trading wars. There's all forms of wars before it gets to the physical realm where it's an ugly ass, you know what I mean?
Cold war.
There's cold wars. Go ahead.
Remember in 2008, the first thing they did was made Obama apologize to a local cop?
Yeah, the Skip
You
Gates.
damn right.
A local cop. Like,
a local cop.
Never seen nothing like that before in my life.
Yeah, that's
the,
right.
The highest, the person that occupies the highest office in this land, the leader of the free world, the king of kings, right? He had to come down on his high station to the lowly station of a public servant.
Of a
that's
public
all
servant.
an officer is a public servant.
Policy
There's so many
officer.
layers between public servant and the person that's occupying the highest public office.
Facts.
Because he's a public servant as well, but he is afforded the highest
On the
level,
hierarchy.
in the pecking order. He's the highest in that
The
particular
corporation.
pecking order. So he had to come all the way down to have a beer, right? A beer with an officer, a
Facts.
public servant.
Facts.
Who was in the wrong to begin with?
To begin with, he was racially profiling a homeowner. Okay?
A national icon.
For the coons on the train.
I'm just saying, this is America.
Facts. So this quote unquote soft war, or this war of ideas and concepts, was ramped up as soon as a man of melanin, who they were calling a Muslim, which is code word for a Moor, was sitting in a Muslim.
The birther
They was calling
movement.
him a Muslim, who was sitting in the chair of the Oval Office. Like Blue Pill explains the power of that presiding head of office sitting in the Oval chair, what it does to the mentality and to the hearts of the people inside of the country in which they preside over.
Facts.
So,
Case in point.
one of his biggest foes, one of his biggest trolls, one of his most consistent shooters was Donald J. Trump, who was a birther. So the war that started on the Trump side was he's not even real.
Right.
He was
Immigrant, right?
So
he was an immigrant.
let's be clear.
So his presidency is
Right.
not even legit.
So they whipped up. We're watching, they whipped up a coup that led all the way to the toppling, not only of a president, but an entire political party.
Facts.
We're not putting it in full
That's deep.
perspective.
That's
was a
deep.
coup.
That's deep. That's mean.
Let's put it in full perspective, and you niggas better not come out with a movie after this, okay? the energy that was galvanized from that hatred was able to propel a coup that was strong enough not only to knock down his presidency and his predecessor, but an entire political party.
Let me rewind the tape and show you how this works. Hold on. 1992, David Dinkins, there was a rally in front of City Hall when the police pulled a coup in front of all of black New York's eyes. And who was leading the coup? Rudolph Giuliani, who wasn't even a political figure at that point. They were formed. He was a prosecutor. They formed.
He wasn't running for political office.
They stormed City Hall and called for the head of David Dinkins.
The mayor at that
The
time.
mayor at that time.
After the Crown
What
Heights
happened to New York City after they toppled David Dinkins and Rudolph Giuliani became mayor of this city?
Gestapo. It was the Gestapo.
That's the mayor for 9/11. In case y'all wondering.
That becomes the predecessor or the precursor to what America happens under Trump. Is what happened with New York under Giuliani.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
Yo,
the initial onsetting. Hold on. The initial onsetting of the sanitizing, right,
of the hood,
of the bacteria of what we call the hood,
of the hood,
to insert Disney. You feel me? And the gentrification comes. Once the sanitation, the sanitizing of the place that generated the most bacteria and girth in New York, 42nd Street. You can love to hate it for what you feel and what you will. But if you didn't understand the dynamics of New York City at that time, you would not understand the importance of 42nd Street. Okay? And how once they sanitized that, they were able to come and sanitize everything else. And now we're here with gentrification.
Go ahead, Rich.
Wow, man. Nah, that was a wow. Your brothers just went in right there, man. Instead of being I'm listening instead of you know what I'm saying, like that was real, man. But listen, so this Purge movie, is this something? Is it, you know, when we talk about conspiracies and you know the Alex Jones and they're plotting a race war, is it? Some people might say this is divine. Some people might say this is conspiracy. Is this what's supposed to happen at this time on a divine level? Or like, you get what I'm saying?
Okay.
The conspiracy versus divine aspect of things.
All right. As students of Bobby Hemmett, as students of Dr. Phil Valentine, as students of Dr. Delbert Blair, right? We know that the great divine speaks in signs. We know that it was written. Everything that is to come to pass has already been written. We know that the quote-unquote rule or the reign of a certain kind of energy, of a certain race of people who exhibit a certain kind of mind state, that's slowly coming to an end.
Right.
We understand that the pendulum swings regardless of how you feel. The precession of the equinox will still take place. Right? So we could say, look, when I do my research.
Shut up, Drake. I'm listening. Shut up, Drake. I'm listening.
When I do my research, I come across news reports that say that the mortality rate of the westernized European man is diminishing at a pace that they can't even keep up with.
Negative birth rate, right?
There's a negative birth rate in 13 or 17 states where Europeans or Caucasians are the majority population, right? There's also reports coming out that in Australia, where they committed mass genocide, and in South Africa, where they also committed a mass genocide, their people are suffering from the highest rates of skin cancer.
Facts.
So we're like, hold on. If we don't have any allies in the United Nations, well, goddamn it, we at least could depend on the sun to work for us, and even he's under attack.
If Mother Nature doesn't make it, hopefully the Father will.
So they spreading all of this chemtrail to stop the sun rays from coming in. So what I'm going to say is this. When somebody who sits back from an observer's point of view and you're able to look at what's going on, you can see that both sides are maintaining a lot of casualties and a lot of losses and whatnot. But something has to change. It's not about, do I think if something is conspiracy, the only thing constant is change.
Right.
So what I know will not stand is this system, the way that they're running it right now. Every day that I wake up, it erodes even more as I look at it. You understand what I'm saying? It's not getting stronger. It's getting weaker.
It's not.
The weak, the
Right.
strong people who are in a weak position, they're getting stronger. And that's our people. Hold on. So the foundation, the crux of the Europeans' power is these niggas. And you know this. They're the battery. They're the system. The European don't got a system. The system that he got is your mind. He has your third eye, I don't care if your pineal is calcified or what. He has your sweat equity. He got your labor. He got the fact that you look at him like he's taller than a state building. He got his white Christ on your wall. He got you tasting everything white, his sugar, his rice, his woman, his cocaine. That's where his power is.
Right.
That's where his power is. It's
white
because
coat.
niggas have agreed to be niggas.
That white coat he got on.
So the only thing that we should be focusing on and we need to focus on is how to de-niggify the nigga. Why nobody want to talk about that? I know how to decalcify your pineal with the gold drops, but how you de-nigga a nigga?
Right. If we
Because
could agree,
niggas is gonna
if
be
we
our
could
demise.
Agree, yeah, if we could agree that some level of purging has to take place, what level are you willing to volunteer for, my nigga?
Or if we were to agree that some level of purging had to take place, who you gonna point at?
Right.
Who's the motherfucking target?
Who's the op?
Who's the op?
Huh? Who you
Because I
throwing
can
on
come
the
up with
butcher's
an
block?
idea. So it's like I said before, you have a large contingency of our people, niggas, who what? These people are escorts. They're high price at the entertainment industry, man and woman. Let's keep it a buck. They both sit on the Jewish lap. Okay. The sisters might have to do something a little more strange for a piece of change, but please believe the men are sitting on their laps as well.
Terry Crews? Terry Crews?
Terry Crews all day. Terry Crews all day. So there's a large contingency of people who look like us who want to participate in a purge in order to make room at the table. You saw them marching and caping this week for people who don't got nothing to do with us.
With July 4th? Statue of Liberty?
No, yeah, all that shit. You know what I'm talking about?
Pride.
Yeah, all of that. The pride and all. Taking European issues. That's their shit. That's called counterculture. That's the hippie movement. That's from the 60s. That's Stonewall and all. That don't got nothing to do with you. That's Greco-Rome. What are you talking about? That don't have nothing to do with Africans. Pride what? What you proud about? That you fucking up? Pardon the language. So, what you have to understand, we can't approach this on some race. It's not a race thing. There's people who look like us that hate us. There's people who look like us who hate themselves because they don't know themselves. They never were taught who they are. And it's too late. They already done, it's certain lines that you could cross that you can't come back from. They've jumped in. So what we have to understand and understand is that everything that's happening in this realm is both spiritual. It's starting from the spiritual realm. We can't cut that off. It's the tree of life. We can't say that people are waking up, doing things and making things happen. And no, it's all divine. But it's all about perspective. So
we put things in perspective by asking, once again, they say, if man is mind and mind is all, I always ask people, so where does the animating thought from the devil come? If he is conspiring against God's children, where is he figuring out in his mind to hide these thoughts from God?
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? How does that happen? Where are these animating thoughts coming from right? They say that Allah knows best. So even when the quote-unquote man is conspiring, he still technically is working in your favor if you can figure it out. Because you came here to be a problem solver. Do you have a problem? You damn right you got a problem.
The only thing is you're not solving it.
You're not solving the problem.
You're not solving it. You're here for a reason.
So if we want to get to problem solving, that's what you're going to, people are always going to be trying to run ops on you. People are always going to be conspiring against you. There's always going to be a purge 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Look at the state and condition that you're in, okay? Once again, like I said, if man is mind, and mind is going through an entropic breakdown at this particular point in time where he sees that you're an op. For the first time ever, he has the ability to push you off that ledge. You think he ain't gonna take that opportunity and try?
Because
you feel me? What are you gonna do to restore your mind? That's the only thing that we need to be focused on at this particular time. And going back to that KT video, it might be a time for environment change. You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
It might be a time
DNA.
to take yourself out of these particular places in which you're purging yourself based on the decisions that you're making, based on you running up in Burger King and Popeyes and KFC and whatever else, all else you're going to, and creating these 25 stages of cancer that will take you out quicker than any militia or any purge can do.
Yeah, the corner, the deli, the Arab stores are purging you. The real precursor to purge is when the Vietnamese came in here and opened up what they call Chinese restaurants. Why did they call it a Vietnamese restaurant? Selling you chicken and rice, something that they don't even... Going back to what I said, what Frances Cress Welsing taught us is so apparent these days. It's so in your face. It's undeniable. She is a prophetess. So it's nothing to talk about. That's why I say we have to focus on what needs to be focused on without any emotion or any whatever attached to it. Like, it's just what it is. It is what it is. You understand what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's what's going on. And like Blue was saying, they're culling. You know what culling means? They're culling. They're culling the people. They're making them weaker. They weakened our stock and our pedigree. These 90 babies, some of them, the 80s, the late 80s babies, some of them, the 2000 Generation X or whatever they call them, their chromosomal structure was compromised by the way of chemicals and whatnot, through biological warfare, by the way of crack cocaine, quarter waters, MSG, and all kind of McDonald's, White Castle, White Casket, and all kind of other things. You were eating horse meat. You were eating human feces. You were eating humans. It's coming out now. You were eating cat and dogs. You were eating horse. You were eating ponies. Come on, you niggas were eating rats. Real talk, man. I'm not making this up. So our DNA is being compromised.
For those who want to navigate the times we live in, the prophecies that have been fulfilled, everything that's going on, so-called 2018, there's a lot of people that want to approach this thing from a spiritual perspective, and they want to navigate this thing spiritually. How would you advise somebody who might see things escalating racially? How would you advise them to navigate this thing from a spiritual standpoint instead of the obvious, which we know our people ain't going to do?
First of all, you got to get your spirit right, because Shango will send a white person to knock your top off. How about that? You understand what I'm saying? You attract the negative things that are happening to you. So it doesn't matter what we're talking about dealing with these Europeans. They're like the white blood cells that enter the body when the body is sick.
Facts.
They showed up because you showed out. They showing up because you
showed up because you slowed up.
They showed up because you slowed up. It's not about them.
Get back
we
in the
deal
race.
in a holographic universe. All they are is the manifestation of lower energies or a lower force. It's always about you. So spiritually, you got to get you right. How you gonna win the war if you not right?
Right.
Your karma is gonna look like the police
How you gonna
pulling
fight
you
if
over,
you not
Rodney
right
King
with
and
it?
you.
Right.
Your karma is gonna show up with blonde hair and blue eyes, like they showed up when we were fighting each other, pillaging villages, disgracing other women from other tribes. What happened? Cancer pulled up on the shores and washed you niggas.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about? And that's what's happening in all the gentrified neighborhoods that you niggas destroyed. And who showed up? Cancer. And now they gonna pillage you. So you gotta get you right. If you was involved in the drug era or the drug trade, you niggas need to atone.
Atone.
I don't see y'all at the ancestors, you know, on Coney Island and whatnot.
Atone. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? I don't see a lot of you
at
dudes.
the water giving no offerings to Yemajah.
Yeah, y'all
None
need
of
to
that.
y'all need to do
Oh shoot, none of that. You niggas need to get cleansed.
for the people who molested and hurt women, you know what I'm talking about, and took advantage of children, you need to do some atonement. You need to work that shit out with your spirit God. You need to get a reading, and whatever demon you got on you, whatever forces you got on you, got to get it out of you.
Make a sacrifice.
Make a sacrifice. It is what it is.
You know what I mean?
Because I don't care if purple people is on our necks. I don't care what, you could come up with anybody. You still are going to have to deal with the everyday struggles of the higher self versus the lower self.
The
You
war
always, you know what I'm saying?
is within.
Like, the war's within,
And it
don't get
never
it messed
changes that. If they say that everything is a projection, right? We're projected here, and this is not a physical reality. If that's the case, then your enemy or your adversary is also part of that projection, meaning that it's not real, meaning he's the boogeyman.
Facts.
You feel me? So once you internalize what it is, this inner struggle that you're going through, all right, where did you slip up? Where did you fall off? What didn't you listen to? You know what I'm saying? That pretty much was your direction and you veered off and now you in the alleyway, having a nightmare of your life. So how do you get back on the main street? You have to focus, you have to center yourself, you have to get back into your degree of focus, and you have to figure out internally what are the messages that are coming out about the work that you need to do internal. Once you conquer that demon, then no demon out here can play any sort of adversarial force to you. You will banish it in your mind, you will hit it with the white light and just do away with it. If you want to deal with this thing, you feel me? You can't deal with it from a place where you've been dealing with it. Because I tell you this as well, you know, when I try to give y'all the Law 44, the blood moons, there was ritualistic practices that these people did to prepare themselves for this purge. They didn't just get up yesterday and say we're gonna purge. They did strategic moves through 4 blood moons, strategically.
4 moons.
To make their intent known. They cast a 60-year shadow into the future, right? To bring favor to celestial bodies for a purge that they need to do at this particular point in time. If you're a Christian, you need to get back into your book. You need to identify what the time and the hour is. You feel me? If you're a Muslim, you need to get back into your book. You know what I'm saying? You need to identify what the time and the hour is. If you're a metaphysician, you need to get into some books. You need to identify what the time and the hour is. You feel me? If you're an occultist, get back in your book. So for the people that are religious minded, I would say to them, become, you know,
Sufis and Gnostics.
You need to become more of a zealot about that particular religious disposition or that dogmatic religion that you're in, because it speaks about right now. You feel me? And it gives you direction about how you're supposed to go about dealing with this. But if you're a free thinker, then you need to get back into your thoughts, realign your spirit, work on your internal self, you know what I'm saying? And then that will start changing your outer dynamic, because you're not gonna be able to physically overcome something that never literally or technically was a physical threat to you to begin with. Like the brother said, they're cancer cells feasting on a body that can no longer support itself. The body politic of Black America is one that is broken. The mind is one that has experienced entropy. It needs serious surgery, but it has to start on a cell-by-cell basis. You know what I'm saying? Or the Christ amongst you must, you know, he must rise and cast that light and bring the people up out of rapture, goddammit. So whatever way that you want to spin it, you need to start spinning, goddammit.
There's certain deities that protect you. There's certain deities that walk with you. There's certain deities that are your crown. In times of war, it's imperative on you to find that out. I don't got nothing to do with that. That's not my job. And they have not, I don't think that they have advanced teaching inside of the armed services, where when you come in basic training, they're telling you who your goddamn crown is. Spiritual, huh?
Personal.
That's, well, you know, that's something I just threw that. That's an Easter egg I threw out there to share, to say that if you're thinking about any kind of security forces or any kind of armed services, you need to start with that. Anybody coming to you, you need to get a reading. They need to get a spiritual reading so you know where to place them in your army. You know where to place them in your, because some people are more Shango, right, than anything else. They just want to come and take heads. You got to put them in a position to do that. Because everybody in this society is so judgmental and finger pointing, whereas inside of our nation or our tribes, we have killers that are born. Y'all don't respect that. Because that's the way that the shit works. It's been like that. And when we was in Africa, killers was born. And they would send them out to kill shit. Hunters, hunter-gatherers. They was running up on lions with the spear. Now they in the PJs running up on you for that drip. You know what I'm talking about? Because we don't have, we're misdirected in these concrete jungles. But we have to begin to appoint our brothers and sisters, you know what I mean, some kind of fucking task to do.
Every nation needs a warrior class.
Yeah, every nation needs a warrior class.
Every nation needs a warrior class. You have to learn how to identify your warriors, and you have to learn how to reward your warriors, or you will become food.
You gonna be,
So this is very delicate. I hope that we have offered at least enough to you can start a conversation, and we can follow through at a later point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because we're actually gonna go watch the movie and then build on it more. But based off of what I understand, what this movie is doing, this predictive programming and the plot of the movie, you already know what it is. Y'all don't need us to Siskel and Ebert this thing, because it's called predictive programming, it's called propaganda, and it's called a dog whistle. They're blowing the dog. They even got a series coming out, a series to further advance their goddamn mission. Then Confederate, the HBO show from the creators of Game of Thrones, to talk about life, what was life like when the South won the Civil War. That's coming out soon too. So they're at work. What are we doing? Where's our predictive programming? Who are we gonna program? Where's our series and movies at where we're victorious rather than being what? Victims. You better get out of that, because there's no W's in that.
Please, leave your contact info.
Blue Pillar 44. That's on IG, Blue Pillar 44 on Gmail. If you gotta send us any inquiries, sogobiz.com, mypowerpieces.com.
Yeah, EL_Filthmore, PHILTHMOOR, twinthealbum.com, kingscounty.bigcartel.com. Alright, Patreon /Red Pillar. Peace. Get that.
Twin the album?
Yeah,
Streaming.
all that. Streaming.
All
Napster.
services.
Napster, Tidal.
Napster. They got some shit on the moon and streaming it.
Man,
It's everywhere.
it's everywhere.
Okay.
We on your
Under
streaming
Twin,
services.
Twin Pillars. You can put that in the search engine, but it's on all of them joints. All right. Hey.
They gon' need the cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will still Chamberlain. Even Damien and Satan is afraid of him.
And they was talking all that hot ish. Where the prophets ain't apostles, here the gospel is the gossip. I'm a science project, try and pocket this rhyming process. Watch us in formation, going through lines. Fiber optics, this is Miley Cyrus in her freak phase. The naked truth, don't be Ray Caruth in a trunk punk, just take the truth. Shit, Daisy Dukes at a night show. I raid your room, change the mood. That was like though, yeah. Break a fuse if they refuse. This snapping, shots without the flashes. If I was ever in a pit with you, that's harassment. Your storyboard magic, they had it. To be real, our ears over the field like 100-yard passes. Score the basket, order more caskets. Only way they getting bypasses is gastric. I'm tapped in, it's too late. Fix your face, this is sleeping on a killer in a cabin by Crystal Lake.
Lord,
we got rent to raise.
They gon' need to raise the rim. They gon' need a cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will still Chamberlain. Put the globe on my middle finger and made it spin. They gon' need to raise the rim.